evening, wherever you are listening in the world. Welcome along to the Refuse to Lose podcast, named so by the legendary Dale Earnhardt. Well, not by him, but named after him, after his legendary quote: "The winner ain't the one with the fastest car; it's the one who refuses to lose." My name is Kieran McGinley, and of course, joining me in the box here is Austin Smith. Austin, how are you tonight?
Yeah, Kieran, hello, and hello to everyone watching, listening, being here with us. I'm doing good, Kieran. How are you?
I am not too bad. I'm excited for some of the topics we've already discussed. We met about 45 minutes before the show actually started to discuss what on earth we're going to talk about, and here we are, ready to talk about it. I'm really excited for this show, mainly because of one thing, but I suppose we should just dive headfirst into it. Obviously, since we were live on air, the Daytona 24-hour one happened, not just in real life, but on iRacing 2. Now, that was a pretty bizarre experience. The week before was the iRacing edition. The week afterwards was the real life edition. And in both the, I believe it was the GTE Pro classes, the big BMW M8 won the show.
And, the meme.
And better yet, I believe it was 45 minutes from the checkered flag. One of the BMW M8s made the move on a Porsche to take the win. 45 minutes before the checkered flag. That's pretty much leaving it to the last minute in endurance racing, especially 24 hours.
Yeah, that's, if you compare that, let's just think about that for a second. So that was 30 second in the final 30 second of the race. So if you split it in 32 parts, it was the final part, which, if you equate that to a 64 lap F1 race, that's in the penultimate lap.
Yeah,
it's pretty darn late. But yeah, the return of the big M8, and I love this meme, Kieran. I don't know about you, I just love it every time I see one of those big M8s zoomed in and enlarged even bigger, because it's you know how in WWE they used to always say those larger than life wrestlers.
Yes,
it's the larger than life big M8.
Oh, well, here was the thing on when it was first announced on the iRacing website for the iRacing version. They said this year's vehicle list for the iRacing 24 Hours of Daytona is as follows: the Chevrolet Corvette C7 DP, the Ferrari 488 GTE, the Ford GT GTE, GT much, Porsche 911 RSR, Audi R8 GT3 LMS, and the Mercedes AMG GT3. As soon as you put the words BMW M8 GTE, that's the only car that's going to be there. I watched the top split. There were not many other cars other than the BMW M8, and you know what? I can see why. It's just become the meme to end all memes. It just really has.
Yeah, and I have some of those juicy memes right here.
You have to show them now, really?
You want me to wait? You want me to wait?
Well, all right, get it over with.
Why are you hating on the big M8 now? What the hell? What happened?
I'm not hating on the big M8. I'm just, it's been done. It was done last year.
I don't care. I want people to see it.
All right.
Okay, well, so let me get this started here. A little bit of technical difficulty, but here we go. This is the first one. So majestic to see the M8 GTE back out on track. And
wonderful.
Of course, let's enlarge this a little bit. The poor LMP1 at the front.
Yeah, they even shrunk down the LMP car. What on earth?
Beautiful.
Right.
Who cares about LMP1 cars?
You can't just show a tweet and not give credit for it. Come on now. Come on.
Yeah, that is from, oh, sorry, you're right. That is from Ryan at VE_Haynes21. The next one comes courtesy of Lawrence Stad, I think he's Dutch. At Stad Lawrence, return of the big M8. And it's just on the oval, and it's just covering the whole oval.
What I love about it is not only is the light massive as well to compensate, but also if you zoom in enough, the car's pixelated.
The car's pixelated, and it's over another car.
Yeah, it's like, right, okay. All right.
Beautiful. This is the thing of beauty, Kieran. I don't know what you want.
Right.
The next
don't
one
know.
is by Matzel89 at Matzel89.
That's my favorite one.
Big boy.
That's my favorite one.
And it's literally off the track.
That's my favorite one. Right,
Yeah.
that's you won that one.
Yeah.
You won that one.
There you go.
But
the next one is by the best account to ever tweet a Big M8 meme, and it's actually Motorsports on NBC. I actually posted this. And with the caption, a big move puts the BMW M8 GT in the lead in GTLM.
Unbelievable.
The official Motorsports on NBC account at Motorsports NBC posting a Big M8 meme with the word big in the very caption. That's my favorite right there. Then we also have, again, from Matzel89, talking about how the Corvette got absolutely victimized in this one here. This is a Big M8 sandwich. And the Corvette in the middle is just...
The effort, the what gets me is the effort people went through to do this and how quickly they were churned out. That's also worrying as well.
No, this is fantastic. This is absolutely fantastic. And then, obviously, if you have such a big car, you can't just have normal drivers driving it. And Lawrence Van Tor shows us how big the drivers were. Huge drivers right there. One in the GTE class, GTE Pro class. And that came courtesy of Lawrence Van Tor, a Porsche factory driver. Of all people.
Wow.
Some absolutely fantastic Big M8 memes. I love them. And if you don't, I don't even know who you are.
Well, well, okay. I did say I tweeted a promo on Twitter and I said the whole thing won't be M8 memes. I promise.
Yes. We're done with the M8 memes. We're done with the M8 memes. But what
was getting me was that I remember Jimmy Broadbent was also part of a team in that one, but he kept tweeting that he had server problems, that it wasn't connecting. It took a whole hour for him to connect to the lobby, which, you know, for obviously the top split was broadcast. The very top split was broadcast. So if you qualified there, if you were quick enough, they had, I think, over 4,000 drivers. So you're talking over 1,000 teams. So goodness knows how many splits there were. I'm gonna
calculate that really.
Let's hazard a guess and say 100. Okay, that covers it. 100 different splits.
I mean, well, with 1,000 teams, I don't think there would be 100 splits. Because that would be 10 teams per split. That would be a little bit boring.
Well, anywhere between...
With 1,000 teams, probably roughly 50... between 30 and 40 splits, I would say.
You'd think?
Yeah. With 1,000 teams? Yeah, with 1,000 teams. I mean, it depends. Is it roughly 1,000 teams, or is it over 1,000 teams?
Well, I was only going by there's roughly 3 to 4 drivers per team. I know there was one person who went the whole 24 hours on his own.
That's crazy.
That is absolutely crazy. He did it for charity.
Fair enough.
But yeah, if it's 3 or 4, then yeah, I'd say 100. I'm standing by it. 100 splits.
I doubt it was 100, but it certainly was a lot.
It was a lot.
I think we can agree on that.
But obviously, the top split, which was broadcast, didn't run into... I don't think it ran into a single issue, actually.
Oh, wow.
I don't think it did, anyway. It was all broadcast on RaceSpot TV, and it was a success. And that's the end of that. But further down the splits, there were problems. And, well, I can understand that. If 4,000 drivers, they're not all necessarily connecting at the same time. But the thing you have to remember about iRacing is it's not just the driver who's in the lobby. You're constantly having people leaving the session and joining, whether that be spotter, you maybe have your chief engineer with you. You could have the other driver waiting to change over in the lobby as well. So it's constantly changing how many drivers are actually in the lobby, how many drivers are entering and leaving. They're all on different strategies, so they're all leaving and joining at the exact same time. It's a lot of server traffic, and okay, it's I can't remember how many times iRacing has run the Daytona 24-hour, and people are saying, well, why can't they just run it properly? I think for the top split, they did. And for the broadcastable one, there were very, very few issues that I can think of that actually happened. And running a server for 24 hours is not easy. I mean, it just isn't.
Yeah, to tell you a story from my past, considering that I'm the old one here, and I have participated in such races before. Not on iRacing, because I've never owned iRacing, because I never had a PC that could run iRacing. But back in the day on rFactor 1, not 2, I once participated in a 24-hour Le Mans race, and we were 3 drivers on our team. It was that there was a minimum amount of drivers for each team, so you can't run alone. And it was 3. 3 was the minimum, and we ran with the bare minimum. The maximum was 6, so you were allowed to have 6 drivers on your team, but not more. And it was supposed to be a 24-hour. Let's just say that. It wasn't. Okay. There were 3 crashes happening. The first one after around, give or take, 8-9 hours, roughly. Right. 8 to 9 hours. The second one, it was then the race was then restarted. The results were taken as they were at the end of those 8 to 9 hours, and then there was basically a second race start as soon as the race was restarted, so they didn't try to recreate the gaps. They just went, okay, we're just gonna we're just gonna classify that, and then at the end we'll figure out who won. Then there was a second crash at around 15-16 hours into the race, and then there was a third crash about 21 hours into the race. And after that, they said, you know what, we're done here. We're not going to try again for those 2 hours. We don't care. It's just not going to happen. It's just, who cares? And they ended the race prematurely because the server literally crashed 3 times. Yeah. And so the way it worked at the time for that race was 2007, 2008. So the internet connections weren't that great as they are now. That's the first thing. The servers weren't that stable. It was rFactor, not iRacing. And we had 40 teams in the race. We had 2 classes only, LMP and GT. We simplified it a little bit. And 20 teams per split, per class. There you go. And yeah, the way that worked out was that we had constantly, as is on iRacing, as you just mentioned, we constantly drive or people coming on to the server, leaving the server. You had to join just like you do on iRacing, join as a spectator so that you can then jump into the car to switch, to get in, to switch with your current driver, and so on and so forth. And it was made even worse by the fact that back in the day on rFactor, if you switch drivers, all your damage is instantly repaired.
Right.
Yeah, that was fun. And so as soon as someone crashed massively, they limped back to the pits. They said, come on, someone's got to join. Everyone was in their own TeamSpeak channels. And they were like, come on, one driver has to come in. Come on. And they switched drivers and the damage was gone.
Nice.
Yeah, and so you had much more driver changes than you usually would have. Because every time someone got significant damage, if it was some light damage, no one cared. Like, it's just, all right, don't repair it during the pit stop, but also don't switch drivers just yet. I can still drive this. It's fine. It's all good. But yeah, the switching was so much more. And with iRacing, I could see that this does get the servers into some trouble. But I think we've come a long way from rFactor in 2007 or 2008, I have to say.
Well, definitely. definitely.
So
And
back in the day, it was just. I mean, we did get second in the end, even though I think we were never in second place during the races, doing the 3 parts. But because we've consistently been right around top 5, in the end we got second place because the teams in front of us must have always been different teams, and we were always there into P4, P5, P6.
Well, I think obviously it's on my bucket list to do a 24-hour on an esports game, whether it be iRacing, whether it be rFactor 2, anything like that.
GT Sport.
GT Sport. If they ever
the deal with GT Sport is the lobbies are so small.
There's 16 drivers.
Yeah,
so,
16 if you don't broadcast it.
Yeah.
Spectators take away grid spots. That's awful.
So bigger servers, please. As big as the M8.
Bigger
please.
lobbies. Yes. I was saying, as soon as I saw the Big 8 memes, I was saying, look, if Gran Turismo on April 1st doesn't bring out an update that includes the big M8 actually being really, really big, that would be amazing. Think about this. You could just, obviously not for lobbies, but you could just go into like single player, into one of the, what do they call, Trek Experience, or one of the GT League races, in the campaign mode, or an arcade race, and you could just drive the big M8, just block the whole track. It would be amazing.
I mean, it would be nothing short of amazing. That I can tell you right now. But we'll see. We'll have to see.
Get on it.
Sure. You heard it here. That the Badger wants what the Badger gets. Wait.
The other way around.
Yeah. Anyway, point is, that's that. And yeah, it's on my bucket list to do a 24-hour.
Mm-hmm.
I just need to be good at driving. I have done endurances before and walked away with the trophy. It's one of the only first place trophies that I have on my shelf. Hey. I have 2 trophies. One of them is a first place trophy. The
other's a participation trophy.
What the other one's a second place. Come on now. Come on now. In real racing. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah. What was the length of the endurance race you won first place in?
It was only a 2-hour race.
That's not endurance.
Now it is an endurance. I'll have you know. It was classed as one. It was in the Le Mans Classic cars of 1989, I believe.
Oh, okay.
At the Circuit de la Sarre, I classed that as an endurance race, and it was quite funny.
That's like saying that I'm a badger because I call myself a badger.
Oh right, okay. But the great thing was that there were 3 of us, and
3 people for a 2-hour race. What?
Minimum, yeah. The great thing was that at this place, because it was in a building, so I believe they had like 12 rigs ready. So it was a 12-car endurance. Okay, I'll hold my hands up. Okay, there weren't that many teams. However, the fact of the matter was that you could see every other person around you. You could see who was driving the car without having to scroll through a menu. It was quite a bizarre experience. However, when we got to the place and they said, right, you've got half-hour qualifying. Okay, half-hour qualifying. That sounds good to me. But it's also your practice. All right. Okay. Well, that's okay. That's all right. We can do that. It's doable. You don't realize then how long it takes to do a lap of the Circuit de la Sarre.
Yeah, 3.5 minutes. Yeah,
3.5 minutes. We didn't realize that at the time. We didn't realize it was going to be that long. I was like, okay, it's going to be about 3 minutes. We've got, the changeover and whatnot. Yeah, so one of us had to cut qualifying short because we found out that I was the quickest one out there. So they wanted to get me back in the car to get the qualifying. I qualified second. I made a mistake at... where was it now? I think I made a mistake. It's the right-hander just after the Mulsanne straight. You've got a chicane, then another chicane, then you come down to the right-angled right-hander. And I forget what that's called. Yeah, I made a mistake there.
Isn't it Mulsanne corner?
It might be.
I think it's Mulsanne corner.
But yeah,
Mulsanne straight is Mulsanne corner. Yeah,
I left my braking a little bit too late. I locked it up. got a bit of opposite lock, gathered it up and carried on. I'd still.
It is a deceptive corner, that's true.
It is, yeah. You have to slow right down for it. But the point is that if you class it as an endurance race or not, there were driver changes. So to me, that would class it as an endurance. I mean,
hold on. Aren't there driver changes in what was it called, the Blank Pane GT series, which was a 1 hour race, but they had to switch drivers between 25 and 35 minutes?
Yeah, there is a series that
it's a 1 hour race. That's not endurance, even though there's driver changes.
The point is that the longest endurance I've done was in real life. I did a 6 hour endurance.
Hey.
Yeah, so I was the slowest one in the team, so that's why I went
of course.
I went to esports, because I'm actually quick, but not really. So I would love to do it. Yeah, I would love to do a 24-hour. It's just I've never found the time to practice, B, never found a good team to get together. But who knows? Maybe I'm hoping within the next 2 years, not only will I be able to be good enough and consistent enough, that I will also be, part of a team that is quite successful. Who knows? That's the plan. That's the pipeline. The only problem is that I just don't have the computer as well is a problem. It's a big problem especially when it comes to esports. Everybody says that esports is free. No, it's not. It's not. So you got to have the right.
Hold on. As soon as you say that, I want to get into that. Because people who think that esports is free, boy, you're wrong. You have to buy the game. Depending on what game you get into, that could cost you from $20, which is what you get GT Sport for right now, all the way up to, what does iRacing cost? 10 a month?
It's more than that. It depends. Really. Yeah, you can.
Oh yeah, you have to, because you have to buy the tracks and you have to buy the cars and you have to. Yes. Oh god, yeah. But what's the monthly fee if you exclude that?
I think the monthly fee is somewhere, but it depends. If you pay for it month after month, it's something.
Oh yeah, like because because you get, if you pay 3 months, you get a little bit off. Yeah.
Yeah, but you have to pay it all off in one lump sum, I think.
Yeah. But what's the monthly if we just go by month per month?
I think it's about $17. I'll have to verify.
There you go. There you go. So $17 a month, plus for all the for all the content that you want or need for the races you want to participate in.
Yes.
So iRacing can get very expensive. Again, GT Sport, $20 for the game. Then add to that you would need either a PC that can run the game, or a console in the case of GT Sport, or Forza, I think, as well, F1 eSport, F1 2019 as well. And then you need your steering wheel, just like Kimi Räikkönen needed one. One of the best team radios ever. Claps and steering wheel. You need honestly, I don't think you can qualify for any sim racing esports at the very least with a pad. I don't think it's possible.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it yet, and maybe there is someone out there who's done it and I don't know, but it's very unlikely. You need to be the top talent on the pad. And even then, the issue with the pad is you don't have the precision that you have with a wheel and pedals. So you need that as well. And let's say you go for the, it's not the cheapest one, but it's, good bang for your buck, would be the G29 or G920, depending on whether you want it for PS4 or Xbox. They both go for PC. Which is around 200 pounds, I think it is. Yeah, so roughly 250 or 220, 230 euros. So add that to the list. And then you know that esports isn't free.
Well, with that, I think that's a rant on both our ends. With that rant over, we should probably move on to the next bit of news. Yes. Now, we have discussed stories to discuss in tonight's show. I don't necessarily know which order you've put them in, so
this is the next one.
Yes. So obviously we've had the terrible wildfires over in Australia that's put the Australian Grand Prix in danger. We've also now got the coronavirus putting the Chinese Grand Prix in danger as well, because I think the Chinese Grand Prix is in April, which Chinese government have suspended all sports up until April. All sports have now been cancelled.
I thought it was just all motorsports, but they changed that since.
I thought it was all sports because it was large gatherings and they're trying to avoid that.
Okay.
Because
April 19th is the race date for the Chinese Grand Prix, at least the scheduled one.
Yeah,
so
but they haven't commented on whether they're going to let the race run or whether it's going to be cancelled. I would say we'd hear an announcement about that sooner rather than later, because
what they could do is just switch it with another race. Like, what else is in that region? Singapore?
I'll tell you what also
Russia?
is in that region. No, I'll tell you what's in that region that they could bring back under the floodlights, because it has floodlights now. You know what I'm talking about, Austin.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah.
Bring it back.
Say it. Say it.
Malaysia.
Yes. I think I just came.
No, but in all seriousness, we'll have to see how this goes, because obviously it's been scheduled for April, which the Chinese government has said April. Sporting events up to April are an absolute no. Okay, fair enough. You're taking the measures there. But now the Home Office in the UK have now advised, or heavily advised, to all its citizens that it warns against all but essential travel to mainland China. Now, as far as I recall, the Chinese track is in Shanghai. That's a pretty major city. So, that I don't know, all but essential travel. I mean, you could class F1 as essential, but to be honest,
it's essential to us.
It's essential to us. But I right now, I can't see that race going ahead.
Yeah, I don't see it either. Australia, you mentioned with the wildfires. I think if they do get the wildfires under control, they have a month and a half to do so. March 15th is the race. Or let's say effectively, because the teams have to get there, and the practice sessions and everything, and let's say they have a month until the end of February. That's still plenty of time to try to get the wildfires under control. By the way, I would make the argument that within a month, either they do get the fires under control, or all of Australia has burned down.
Well, I mean, there's a scenario we really don't want there in that one.
That is true. I mean, them getting it under control is just absolutely not an option, really. So it has to burn down.
The thing is,
I'm joking. I'm sorry.
The thing is,
I have to say, I have also done my part. I have donated a little bit, and I can just call for everyone who's listening to also donate to the Australian Red Cross, for example. Just, there's plenty of charities out there that do try to get the money towards the wildfire containment causes, let's say, and trying to get it under control and get them. What's the word I'm looking for? Extinguished. There you go. So please donate. Please support Australia. Not just because of F1, just in general for the people and for the wildlife and everything there.
And I think if they do either get it under control, or if the fire does burn out, then if the race does go ahead, I think there will be record attendance at that race, because so much has happened to them. I mean, they've now had a confirmed case of the coronavirus in Perth, I believe it was.
Ooh.
So much has happened in Australia. If that does happen, they will be looking at it as a chance to not only see a Formula One race, but to finally see Danny Rick back at the track. I mean, he draws a large crowd anyway.
Yeah.
He really does. If if you watch qualifying back in 2014, you can hear the roar of the Australians as he, for about 20 seconds was on pole position for the race until Lewis Hamilton went about 3/10 quicker.
How dare he?
How dare he? How dare he?
But I'm going to say this. I'm going to make a little bit of a sports comparison here. When one second, I need to hold on. When Hurricane Katrina hit Louisiana in 2005, in August 2005, it was devastating. Killed 1,800 people. Damage of $125 billion at the time. It was just absolutely awful. New Orleans, which is basically right on the coast of Louisiana, was just devastated. What really got the people of New Orleans hope was the hometown football team, the Saints, played the Atlanta Falcons in the very first week, or in the first home game of the season. That was then in September. That was a couple weeks only after Katrina hit, and it was really interesting. So it was in because the Hurricane Katrina destroyed the Superdome in New Orleans, so they couldn't play there for a season. And then in 2006, it was rebuilt, if you will, renovated and repaired, really. And then they hosted the first home game in over a year there against the Falcons. And they haven't healed for that whole year. And then that came back, and the game was the highest rated program, not just football game, the highest rated program in the history of ESPN. It was nationally televised. And in the first quarter, very early on, a Saints player blocked a punt, which rarely ever happens, and the Saints recovered in the end zone for a touchdown. And it was absolutely, it was what New Orleans needed to heal. That game, watched by basically everyone in New Orleans, because it was the first game back at the Superdome. It's what they needed to heal, and they did heal from Hurricane Katrina. And I think, I'm not going to say that the Australian Grand Prix is going to have the same effect, but it could very well be. If Daniel Ricciardo somehow pulls out a really good performance, at least a podium, I would say, this might be something that brings the hopes and the emotions up for the Australians, and brings them back up on the good side of life.
Yeah, can't agree more. There's something special about a sporting event immediately after something terrible happening to the country, and that will always remain the case. It is a chance for people as a group to get behind a common cause, which is, it brings that sense of community back, stronger than it ever was after facing that adversity. So if they do see Danny Rick, I mean, even if he doesn't finish the race, people will turn up there in their thousands, their tens of thousands, to just see Danny Rick.
Yeah, that is true, but I'm going to say this for the whole country to get back on its track. I think a really good result from Ricciardo is needed.
Yeah,
I would say probably at least podium. So, if he gets the win somehow, they're just gonna go crazy.
They will. They absolutely
and
will.
I'm there for it. I'm gonna say this right now. I'm there for it.
So well, we'll have to see how that develops. Well, obviously,
I think with to get back to the coronavirus and the Chinese Grand Prix, I think F1 is probably already looking into swapping with another race and asking around whether another race is, or another venue is able to hold a Grand Prix earlier than in April instead of whenever they were supposed to. Maybe I don't think the Dutch Grand Prix at Zandvoort is going to be able to speed it up 2 weeks. because they're currently still working on the track surface. And so, yeah, I think that would be a bit early. But Spain, Barcelona, I think 3 weeks is all they would have to do. 3 weeks earlier. I think that could be the way to go, that they just switch China and Spain and say, all right, Spain on May 10th, and then Spain is on May 10th, Spain on April 19th, and then China back in mid-May.
And well, this is the issue when you have a 22 race calendar, is that you don't really have an option of saying, oh, well, we'll just reschedule it at some point down the line, maybe during this break. There's a 2-week break between here and here. Let's just have it in the middle there, and that's that.
I mean,
they don't have many breaks anymore.
Yeah, I mean, they do have the summer break, but I'm pretty sure most teams and drivers and staff on the teams would like to get that summer break. They don't want to get that shortened.
Also, over the summer break, there is a mandatory shutdown period that
yes.
One enforces, so it can't be then anyway.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Really, the only options are somehow putting when they have like a 2-week break, putting it right in there. So if it doesn't work on April 19th, but the options are limited, and I don't think they want to go 4 one race weekends in a row. So May 17th, for example, wouldn't work, because on 3rd it's the Dutch Grand Prix, on 10th it's the Spanish, and on 24th it's the Monaco Grand Prix. So there would be 4 weeks in a row. They don't want that. What they could do is May 31st between Monaco and Azerbaijan. Although no, they can't, because on June 14th it's Canada, so they can't do that either. It's just the calendar is so packed. The only opening I see right now really is the let's see, July 26th, after Silverstone, after the British Grand Prix. But then they would have to fly from the UK to China within 1 week, and then fly back to Hungary for the next week. Also very, very difficult, and that exactly before the summer break. Very hectic. I'm not sure that's a good idea either. And then afterwards, there's no chance at all. I mean, before Abu Dhabi, from Brazil to China to Abu Dhabi, November 15th, 22nd, 29th. So not that many options. And again, I don't think they want to have 4 races in a row with a 1 week with like no break, basically. On a week by week basis. Unless
all the tracks are literally one after the in terms of countries, if they're
remotely close,
together,
yes, yeah, remotely close. But that's not the case, because China is. What other countries are or what other races are near China? You have, I mean, Singapore and Russia. You could put it after the Russian Grand Prix. It would be Singapore, Russia, China, and then Japan. You could do that. That would be early October then for the Chinese Grand Prix.
But it's the thing. I want to say one thing about the calendar before we move on, and I wholeheartedly disagree with a 22 race calendar. In fact, I want to bring up something that Jean Todt said about it, and I think you know what I'm going to say about it, Austin. Let me have a look at. Yes, here we go. Now he said, and this is the FIA president, that he was a bit shocked about basically how the reaction was, but he says the passion would surpass or should surpass the worries of stress for those who are fortunate enough to work in the sport. That's paraphrasing what he said. He said, as quoted by Autosport, I think it'll be a long process before being close to 25 races. Probably so much emphasis on speculating and assessing 25 races. And at the moment, we should concentrate on 22, which is the situation. About what it presents here, I may have a different point of view. I really feel that, I include myself, we are so blessed to be in a world where we love what we do. We have the passion, we have the privilege. Whoever in F1 is privileged. of course, you have some duties. When I was in other positions as Ferrari team principal, I was working 18 hours a day, 7 days, 6 or 7 days a week, because I had passion. I wanted a result. Then, of course, the family. If you have a beloved family, they will understand, and you don't do that all your life. Believe me, I do a lot of other activities in my life where I see people, if they are blessed, get $30 a month in certain countries. So we should not forget that. You have an 8 billion population and you have 800 million people. They are not able to eat, to drink, to get vaccination. We're here to talk about F1, but we must not close our eyes and forget what is happening for other people, for other communities. I feel, again, we have to be blessed, and all those who are in F1 with much higher salaries, incidentally, than any other business should be very happy. I want to pull this back to last year, where Bottas went through a divorce because of the commitments that Formula One had to bring. A divorce, like a family broken apart.
Yeah, and John Todt basically says, and honestly, I'm pretty sure that Bottas read and heard what John Todt has said there, and it must feel like a punch in the face for Bottas to hear, oh, your loved ones will understand. Yeah, not necessarily.
If they're not into motorsports, I mean, they won't. Not just for the drivers as well. You have to remember the mechanics who are working around the clock.
They don't get paid like the drivers do.
They don't get paid anywhere near like the drivers do. They do get to travel the world, and that's, they get to be an engineer or a mechanic in something they've wanted to do. But they were probably they're probably at the age where they saw the races in the early 2000s, maybe in the late 90s, where you had a calendar of 15, 16, maybe even 17 races. And even then that was controversial to have 17 races in a calendar. Now you're looking at 25. Where are the breaks? Where is the opportunity for an engineer to go home to his family? You get the summer break. You don't even get the winter period either, because you're spent working on the next. Oh, I want to swear so badly. You want to work on the next car. And it's bizarre.
I remember reading, in fact, today, an article from John Noble in motorsport.com. The unseen side of F1 life that must not be ignored. That's literally from earlier today, where it's exactly about what Jean Todt has said. And he says that he writes, John Noble, that is, he writes, FIA President Jean Todt's recent alternative views about the stresses and strains being put on F1 personnel by a rapidly expanding calendar certainly raised some eyebrows from those working in the sport. And he talks, one thing I found very interesting is he talks about former Williams press officer Aaron Rook, who also worked at Codemasters, by the way. He's currently working for Ubisoft, I think. And Aaron Rook says, I'm going to pull out some of the quotes here. Not going to take them out of context, just really the way they're put in here. He says, for one, F1 is a business with a bit of sport slapped on the side like a customary salad clinging onto a greasy doner kebab. That probably explains the constant unnecessary 24/7 pressure it places on its staff. Not even something like, I don't know, a complete mental meltdown coupled with suicidal thoughts could grant you a moment's rest. While the masses were slithering off to their fancy amber lounge parties to see who could attach themselves to the most famous person, yours truly, he says, Aaron Rook, was sat in a hotel room eating fast food and watching foreign TV. I was often content with that, in all honesty, and in fairness, I was always invited along to the swanky parties. But why would I want to spend the night dressed up like the Monopoly man, complete with a false grin, just to be ditched among the crowd before sloping off to the hotel after 20 minutes? So it was always a safer bet to stay put and hang out with people I genuinely cared about. However, the more time you spend alone in a world like Formula One, the further you're pushed aside, especially in a clique-centric environment. Keeping myself to myself did just that. I often felt like the only person in the paddock. Not a second passed by without me thinking of my family and my friends back home and how much I missed them and needed them. In F1, I was a ghost. In fact, I almost became one. That's what F1, traveling under this much stress, can do. That's me talking now. That last one. That's what F1 can do. Can literally bring you close to suicide. The stress that is now put on drivers as well, but staff. And the thing is, he was a press officer. He wasn't a mechanic where, one time you forget to put a wheel on and you're fired from Haas. Or, I don't know, like one wrong strategy call and suddenly the Ferraris are in P8 and P10. But press officer, like if he makes a mistake, usually it's most probably an orthographical error. It's like, oh, I spelled a word wrong. Boo fucking who. But, he doesn't, I would even say he probably doesn't have the pressure in terms of actual results because he can't influence the results. All he can do is influence the PR side of things. And even he feels that pressure. Now imagine how bad that is for people who, actually put the wheels on the car and prepare the parts of the car. Like the brake. Imagine you're the guy who's responsible for the brakes and one of your cars has a brake failure. That's man. And with 22 races, these mistakes, these errors, they just multiply. They just get more and more and more because it's harder to concentrate under that much pressure. And to be very, very honest with you, I think the perfect length for a season, for an F1 season, is 18. 18 races, that's it. Not 20, certainly not 22 or 25. 18 races. Throw out some tracks that no one gives a crap about. I was almost swearing, but no one gives a crap about.
Well, you did swear. You dropped the F-bomb. I thought you noticed that.
Oh, I didn't. I'm sorry. Whoops. Sometimes that happens. Foreign speaker, second language.
Refuses to say crap because it's a swear word, but minutes earlier drops the F-bomb. All right, cool. Thanks, Austin.
But yeah, I'm sorry. Look, this is not a PG stream, okay? This is not a PG
It's not anymore. We can't mark it as that anymore.
Yes.
I have to put a big E next to it now. Thanks, Austin.
I'm sorry. It's just the way I am.
Anyway, you were saying.
Yeah, 18 races. That way. Just kick some track. Just have the tracks on some sort of rotation. Just do that. Right now we have 22 tracks for next season. And there's still some nice tracks out there that aren't in the calendar. Hockenheim, Malaysia. Yes. I was going to come to that. Don't worry. Malaysia. Maybe, you could also have some tracks on, let's say, kind of rotation inside a country, as Germany used to do with Hockenheim and the Nürburgring until the Nürburgring went broke. But you could have, let's say, what countries do we have here that have multiple tracks? You could have the French Grand Prix 1 year at Paul Ricard, the next at Manicourt. God, I miss Manicourt.
The only issue with Manicourt I find is that it's very narrow. It was already narrow with the mid 2000s cars racing.
Yeah. That's true. That's true. Just make it a little bit bigger or a little bit wider, and then bring it back.
You're acting like that's a simple solution. That's not a simple solution.
It is.
It's going to cost millions. To potentially hold a race once every 2 years? It's not worth the investment.
It is.
It's not, because that
didn't work. As viewers, it is.
But for the track, hosting a track or hosting a race every other year, well, that didn't work for the Nürburgring in the end, did it? It worked for a couple of years, sure.
No. Being from Germany, the Nürburgring has much bigger issues that they would have went broke either way. If they had hosted the German Grand Prix every year, they still would have gone broke. It might have taken a little bit longer, but not that much, to be honest. But they had absolutely mental accounting errors. I don't know what was. It was so shady what was going on there. This has nothing to do with every 2 years. No. It was mismanagement from the top to the bottom at the Nürburgring. The company running the Nürburgring. It was ridiculous. It has nothing to do with every 2 years. No, don't give me that.
Well, anyway, we ranted, didn't we?
We did, but that's part of our charm.
True. All right,
honestly, one thing I'm going to say: kick the Hungaroring.
You can't. It's been on the calendar since 1986.
I don't care. Kick it
Every
now.
season it's been there since 1986. You can't get rid of it. You can't get rid of Hungaroring. You can't get rid of Monaco. You can't get rid of Monza. They're all classic tracks. They have to stay. I
want to get rid of Monza. I honestly, I would get rid of Monaco, to be honest.
I would too, but you can't. It was built as a prince's playground in 1926.
Look, Monaco can stay. It's always been there. But Hungary, 1986, that's not even half of the F1 seasons.
Yeah, but it has history, Hungary, because it was the first
race. It produces shit racing. I'm sorry for swearing again, but it produces shit racing.
Yeah, but
it's horrible. It's a boring track. Get rid of it now.
I'm going to call on Justin Sutton because he's the gift master, right? I'm going to call on him. I'm going to message him, and I'm going to say, Justin, make me a GIF consisting of rose tinted glasses. Someone putting on rose tinted glasses. Yeah. That would be awesome because then I could just leave that under every other comment about Formula One, right?
Yeah,
no,
really.
Hungaroring has to stay. It's been there since 1986. Okay, great. Well done. Silverstone's been here since 1950, and Bernie's wanted to be getting rid of it ever since he took over.
And Silverstone is creating some great races.
You're talking about Monza as well. Monza, which has been a fantastic circuit over the years. I mean, it's gone through so much development. It's gone through so many iterations of the track where, you know, to use the oval as part of the Formula One track, that's gone into disrepair now. I mean, it was a terrifying banking as well. I think 24 degrees. It was the steepest.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, it was the steepest in Europe. So, but you're talking
Get
about...
rid of Singapore. Well, while we're at it.
No, Singapore. No, unironically, Singapore can stay. Because that is one of the toughest races on the calendar. Singapore can stay. On my opinion. I think it can. But you can get rid of the French Grand Prix.
Well, get rid of Paul Ricard. Don't get rid of the French Grand Prix. Again, Monaco, I think is a fantastic... Yes, it's a bit narrow. Make it wider, and then get rid of Paul Ricard and just bring us back Monaco.
I don't get the Spanish Grand Prix criticism. Yes, okay, great. Just make preseason elsewhere so you don't have an actual race in the calendar. It would be the exact same if you had preseason testing at Silverstone. It would be the exact same. You can't have 10 days or 8 days where it's going to be this season of testing solely at this track, then go to the race later and expect a good race. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, here's an idea. Do the preseason testing just like they did it before at Jerez. It's also in Spain. It's not that, it's not that outlandish. It has good facilities, has a good racetrack, has a racetrack that has everything. Or if you think, but Barcelona has everything, it is a better track to test. Okay, then do the Spanish Grand Prix at Jerez. That's the other option.
It's just
Jerez, by the way, Jerez always does for also would do for really good racing. Turn 1 is pretty heavy braking zone that would make for some great overtakes. The start finish straight is rather long. It's it's not the longest nearly, obviously with Mexico being on the calendar, but it's decent. And final corner is a very sharp left-hander, so that could do for some late heroics. I think Jerez might be actually a good one for the Spanish Grand Prix.
I think
demote Barcelona to testing, or do it the other way around. Make him switch every year. We test in Jerez, we race in Barcelona. Next year we test in Barcelona, we race in Jerez. Problem solved.
I guess.
No, it's very unenthusiastic.
Well, the whole calendar thing is never going to be solved, and until there will be a day where Formula One makes a mistake and either lets a track drop that everybody loves, a bit like Malaysia, but except it will have massive consequences. I'm talking they will drop a track like Silverstone. They will drop Monza.
Spa.
in a heartbeat because they can't pay for it. Spa, maybe not necessarily, because Spa can still pay.
I mean, yeah, but you never know what. Everyone thought the Nürburgring was here to stay. Look where it's now.
But like,
yeah.
I mean, Silverstone for years. I mean, I'm talking a decade now. I've been talking about, oh, this is the last British Grand Prix at Silverstone.
Fair enough.
And the only reason they've stayed is because they've had some sort of grant or they've come to a deal. One day, that deal will be, over the horizon will come Dubai and its new track with its new money, and Silverstone will be just dropped. And then you'll get a boring track made. It will be long straights consisting of hairpins, a Tilke special.
Yeah.
A track like Silverstone will be left to rot.
Don't forget the quadruple apex corner.
The quadruple apex, yeah. I notice now the long left-handers. Those are a catch. And you will end up with a track eventually in Dubai, which probably has a 5-kilometer straight. Because straights are where it's at. I mean, you look at Vietnam. We're going to Vietnam. I forgot about that. We're going to Vietnam this season, and it has something ridiculous like a 1.8 kilometer acceleration point.
Something like
when
that.
Half the track is a straight.
It's 5.6 kilometer track and 1.5 kilometer straight.
It's just ridiculous. It's absolutely like this will hurt them in the long run, big time. Because they won't learn the lesson. The reason why Formula One did so well under Bernie Ecclestone, mainly because of the TV broadcasting rights. He was a genius at that, but he started towards the end to sell to the highest bidder. That's why we have races in Bahrain. That's why we have races now. There was a race in China brought in 2004 because China wanted to bring more tourism to the country. Great idea. They've already got 1 billion people in the country. Let's bring in more tourism as well. Brilliant idea. But they had the money to do it. Now you've got a race in Singapore. Now you've got a race in Vietnam. Now you've got races, happening all over the world. You had a race in India, one of the biggest economies, or one of the biggest booming economies of the time, and that didn't last long.
Korea, don't forget Korea.
Korea as well. They're selling to the highest bidder and completely forgetting. There's a race in Abu Dhabi as well. They're selling to the highest bidder at this point, not because the track looks all right, not because the track can be great, but because the people have the money. And that's allowing tracks like San Marino to be off the calendar. It's allowing tracks like the British Grand Prix and the Italian Grand Prix year after year being in severe, they're in financial trouble, both tracks. They can barely afford to pay for the quote unquote privilege to have Formula One, which I never understood. Tracks have to pay Formula One to host them.
Yeah.
Is that not a bizarre scenario? Can you imagine me setting up a championship? All right. Okay, here we go. I'm going to set up an endurance championship. Okay. Yes, there's going to be an entry fee. Okay. For all the teams and all the drivers. That's fine. We'll cope with that. But if you want to be on the calendar, you have to pay me. Yeah. And how many tracks are going to turn to me and go, no, you're all right, mate. You're having a laugh. That's such a bizarre bit, but it works. Because now we've got 22 tracks on the calendar. The one thing it's just utterly insane.
Yeah, it is.
One day, like I say, a track like Silverstone or a track like Monza will be dropped from the calendar, and the F1 community will vote with its feet. That will happen one day, and I will make a prediction now. It will happen this decade. It will be dropped for a track somewhere where it's got more money, not necessarily because it's a great track, not necessarily because it attracts the most spectators, but because it can pay the bill. And quite simply, for F1 to become a global sport, which is, it's heading into the Middle East as well.
Yeah.
It is forgetting its roots. Its roots are the great tracks of Silverstone, the great track of Monza. You've got Spa, which is okay. It's a completely different circuit now that you think about it. It's got the remnants of the remaining circuit, but
it's still the same location.
It is the same location. You've also got, there were only about 6 circuits on the calendar, and the Indianapolis 500.
Yeah, there were 7. One of them was Indianapolis.
Yeah, which the European teams didn't go
to. It was Britain at Silverstone. It was Monaco. It was Switzerland at Bremgarten. Which the thing is, Switzerland, it wasn't. They weren't able to continue that because Switzerland outlawed racing for a long time, like all motorsports. And so,
Yeah.
I understand that is no longer part of the, part of the calendar.
Well, the banning motorsport part isn't necessarily true. They never banned hill climbs.
Yeah, but they banned closed circuit racing. Let's just say that.
They banned wheel-to-wheel racing. So if it was time trials, go for it.
Yeah. And then Belgium at Spa, 14-kilometer Spa, but it's still Spa. French Grand Prix at Remgueux, which I don't think is even a track anymore, is it?
I don't think so, no.
Yeah, I doubt it as well. Yeah, it's not. It was.
I don't want to be the fan with the rose-tinted glasses and say, "Oh, the classic tracks are the best tracks," because that's not necessarily true. I mean, there's reasons why we don't go back to certain tracks, because the racing maybe isn't great, or the logistics doesn't work. Fans don't turn up, which is, the big downfall of Malaysia was because the track was never filling up the seats. So the track owners thought, well, what's the point? And that's a very fair comment to make. That's a very fair decision to make. If it's not making you money, there is no point in running it. That's fair enough. I will happily accept that. But what will always get me is the fact that, Formula One has dropped countless classic tracks, not because the racing wasn't good. In fact, it's brought more tracks onto the calendar that don't provide good racing. That's clearly not the reason. The reason is the money. The money behind Formula One securing another spot around the globe. It's trying to become a global sport, which I don't blame it. I don't blame it at all. The business model is to expand to places it's never been before, to attract new spectators to the sport, and it's worked because another year has happened, and it's another increase in global viewership. They're talking billions now watch Formula One over the entire season, not necessarily for one race, but I believe they had, I can't remember how many gate receipts they had, but it's astonishing that it's still on the rise.
Yeah.
But they will fall into that error and fall into that trap sooner or later, where a classic track is dropped from the calendar. And when I mean a classic track, I mean a track that has been established on the calendar and, has a right to stay because of the racing it provides.
Well, and one I would argue one that is beloved by the fans as well. To exclude the Hungaroring, for example, because it has history. 1986, you said it, but no one likes it. It could very well just be pushed aside. No one cares. But a beloved track that has plenty of history, and where really money would be the only factor why it would be dropped.
If they let Silverstone on Monza go, fans will vote with their feet.
Yeah,
I have zero doubts about that. Absolutely zero doubts.
I do. I have to say that I have to give F1 a little bit of credit here for one thing, not the ever increasing calendar, but bringing Zandvoort into the fold, which, Dutch Grand Prix, it's in Europe. It is a historic track. It is a track that has been there for quite some time. And it has been on the F1 calendar before. The original circuit is from 1948. And it hasn't changed much. In fact, they are going back. The Grand Prix circuit is going to be the exact same layout as the original circuit from 48 to 89. So they are actually going back to the old layout. And I very much like that. Saying, hey, we do go back to our roots. I would just like to see them do that more and less Vietnam, less whatever else is there, China, less you disagree, but less Singapore, I'm gonna say it, less Abu Dhabi. I think we can both agree, and more, more Netherlands, more Germany. How is Germany not on the calendar?
Because as Bernie once said in 2015, when he was asked about the previous lack of a German Grand Prix, he says, well, we have one. It's called Austria.
Oh,
he said that. He said that in 2015. But listen.
Don't make me hate Bernie even more than I already do.
let's just move on because
Just because.
Okay.
No, I'm not gonna say what I was about to say.
But yeah, if
German Austrian history, I was about to go there, but no.
Let's just let's leave that stick in the mud, and we've ranted about calendars now. I think we both got that off our chest. So next up should be the exciting news. Yes, next gen, which of course is coming later this year. Well, they say holiday 2020. Both PlayStation and Xbox say that. What got me was the announcement of the PS5 logo. What were you people expecting? Honestly, what were you expecting?
I thought I was totally expecting them to just go, all right, here it is. There you go, PS5. Just like PS4, PS3, PS2. Well, PS2 was a little bit different. It was very, like, it was very, like, rectangular-y, the PS2 logo. But ever since that, PS3, PS4, PS5, they all look the same. And, yeah, obviously. Come on. Don't change a winning system. Don't mix it up. If, like, everyone knows... I'm not necessarily sure that everyone could draw it from heart, but everyone knows the PS4 and now the PS5 logo as well, and the PS3 logo when they see it. Like, everyone knows. It's like instant. Oh yeah, PS4. Oh yeah, PS5. Yeah, sure. That's the one. Everyone knows. Don't change it.
So I think it comes on to. I'll start with the Xbox first because I was joking with Austin when I said, "Oh yeah, well with the naming system, it could be anything." You know, we had the original Xbox, we then had the Xbox 360. Oh, okay, so one full cycle. I like it. So you're going to say the next one is 2 full cycles and say Xbox 720. No, the Xbox One. All right, okay, cool. That makes perfect sense. And now you've since had the One S and the One X, which was upgrades on the previous model. In the 360 area, I believe you had the arcade and the Elite as well as a standard edition. And I said to Austin, what have they just called it, the Xbox X? And Austin said to me, no, they will never call it that. It's too many X's. Well, I'm looking on the official Xbox.com consoles. The new Xbox Series X. That was a joke I made. I don't know if it's actually called that because there's still Project Scarlet around it. But you see here, Xbox Series X, power your dreams. That's the. There's not a lot of detail I can find about it. There's a I believe that's an old Xbox One controller there alongside this rectangular box, which it looks pretty sleek. But I don't know. I think it looks I don't know how big that is in relation to the console because it looks quite small. I
mean, actually. They have posted every picture they posted with the controller, so you kind of get an idea.
Get an idea, yeah. But I don't really use the one controller, so I don't really.
It's big. It's fucking big. I'm sorry, I dropped the F-bomb again, but it's really effing big. I've used both the PS4 and the Xbox One controllers before. The PS4 controller is in your hands, and you think, "Oh, that feels nice. That's really good. That's really enjoyable." You take the Xbox controller, and you go, "What the heck is this massive thing?" Yeah, that's about the difference between the two.
I get an idea now, so I'll see the Series X and think, "Oh, wow, this is really small." But
no, it's not.
Here's the thing. Right, I have to find the tab this was open under. Yes, here we go. So there was a leak for the PS5 about a couple of weeks ago, I want to say, all over Reddit. Now, I don't know the original user who made the leak in the first place, but for example, it will release Holiday 2020 in the US. So, I reckon around about the same time that the PS4 was released in November 2013. Yeah, it's been 7 years since we've had a next-gen console. We can't call it next-gen anymore.
A gen console.
Now, only a few titles have been confirmed on the new console, but except all of Sony's big franchises. So, unlike with the Series X where they've promised a new Halo game, there's nothing of the sort for PlayStation yet. There's obviously going to be VR. They're looking into PSVR 2. That's also a rumor. Rumored to cost somewhere between $399 and $499. So that's around £349 to, I want to say, £429, something around that mark.
Which would, by the way, be just in line with what the PS4 cost at its introduction.
Yes,
it costs $399, 399 euros, £349.
Yeah. Now here's the thing I want to go over. The specs. Now it's rumored and leaked that it's got a bespoke 8-core AMD chipset, SSD storage system. So in theory, with a solid state drive, games will load quicker. The PS5 itself will load quicker, save quicker, all that lovely stuff. 3D audio, 8K TV support, which is all nice. And that design I'm not really going to go into because it's a bit ropey on that one. But I've got to scroll all the way down because I want to find the bit that caught my eye. Now, here's the thing. I'm trying to find it now. I had it earlier on. It's probably on a different. Here we go. Now there is a rumor that the PS5 will have backwards compatibility with the PS4. So all of your PS4 games and your PS4 controller, you can use it on the new PS5. So there's no spending the price of a game, £50, to have a new controller. To me, that's bizarre. We'll leave it there. Now, all of your any games that you've downloaded onto the PS4 will easily transfer over to the PS5. So that, I'm assuming that's to do with the account, just like GTA did with GTA 5 when it was first released on the last one. For now, I can call it the last generation, down towards this generation. It's where it transferred over. It took a while, but it did in the end. Now, here's the thing that caught my eye, and I'll read it from bgr.com. This is from the Reddit leak. Backwards compatibility is such a major feature that games from all 5 PlayStation platforms, that's PS1, PS2, even PSP makes an appearance on here, PS3 and PS4 will be compatible on the PS5, making it a quote-unquote ultimate PlayStation console, putting an emphasis on past and present gaming. Now, there has been rumors that it's going to be announced at E3, which I believe is early next month. Correct me if I'm wrong on that one. It's normally around about that time.
I'm not going to correct you because what? Wait, what? E3?
Yeah, E3. When is E3?
I have to correct you. It's
already
June.
happened. It's June?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, more details about that in June, apparently. But one thing that's that's right. I got it wrong because the announcement is sometime in early February. Now that could be as early as the 5th because or the 4th, sorry, because what they're planning to do, leaked, is that they're going to have a presentation. They're going to show you all the lovely PlayStation goodies about, maybe what it looks like, what it costs, big features, which we're expecting some of these to be in here. Not all of them will be there because, of course, it is a leaked document. We can't actually base this on the truth. But apparently it'll be available for pre-order right after the event on the 5th of February in select regions. So my thinking is that's going to be US and EU. They're big markets.
Well, and Japan probably as well, considering Sony is from there.
Maybe, but Japan was more of an Xbox market last time around.
Was it?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Sony is from Japan.
Yeah, but I think it got beaten by the Xbox One on the last gen battle. So yes, of course they'll look to focus on that, but my goodness, Nintendo also have a major play in Japan. I mean, just to divert this away, I wanted to get a Switch. I've always backed away from it because I thought, I can't afford it. Then they announced that an Animal Crossing is coming in March, so now I have to buy it. More on that in a separate memoir about my life, which you're not going to read. But yeah, February 5th is when the room...
Can I just interrupt because I just looked this up?
No, you cannot.
Okay.
So it's rumored to be in February 5th is the event launch, where they're going to be talking more about it. And right after, you'll be able to pre-order it. Now, again, it's a rumor. So whether that's true or not will be a matter of opinion. But okay, Austin, you may speak now. or
Yeah,
forever.
I think you got something very, very wrong because
What a surprise!
the Xbox One does absolutely miserably in Japan. They sold lifetime just over 100,000 consoles in Japan. The
Right.
Xbox One, and it is the Nintendo Switch who has just passed the PS4 in Japan in lifetime sales. But just passed, but they're on the same level basically. The Switch and the PS4.
I'm never going to rant again because it's just all wrong. Everything.
I was trying to keep you. I was trying to hold you back. But yeah, no. So I would say the PS5 is going to release for pre-order, or is going to be available for pre-order, most likely in US, EU, or probably, US, maybe Canada, but let's say NA without Mexico. Just Canada and US, EU, and Japan.
That's a fair assumption.
Yeah.
As well as that, this got me thinking as well. Obviously, when PS4 and Xbox One introduced the inbuilt capture cards, it was a big thing because you could record on the PS4, you could also and the Xbox One, and you could upload and stream all from your console. Now, here's the thing. This got me thinking. For next generation, are we going to see, because we've already seen YouTube has a big sort of partnership almost with the Xbox. You can stream directly to the Xbox much easier than you can with the PS4. Much easier.
Well, if I would make the argument, if you stream from the Xbox, the best partnership, if you will, is with Mixer, because it's literally a Microsoft platform.
Well, okay, right. So, whatever. I'm wrong. What's the difference?
But no. I still look. It is easier to stream from Xbox to YouTube than it is to stream from PS4 to YouTube. That is true, but I still think it's even easier to stream from Xbox to Mixer than it is to stream from Xbox to YouTube. So that's just my point.
This got me thinking. The next step for PlayStation and for Xbox is to bring the consoles in line with how streamers set up on PC, because you can always tell who has an Elgato or other who streams it up to a laptop or a computer that then they can have the shiny graphics and everything like that. You can instantly tell who has a stream from a PS4 or an Xbox One because it's just the screen. And also, what I find quite annoying is whenever I'm commentating, you get, when you're streaming, on the top right, every so often, you'll get an influx of viewers or a comment's been made, but you get that every time a comment is made. Do you know how annoying it is having it appear in the top right-hand corner?
Yeah.
I understand why they brought it in, but when you're so focused on the race, why? Why is that a thing? Anyway, point is, the next big thing is streaming. Everybody wants to stream. Everybody wants to be the next streamer.
Almost everyone.
Hang on, Austin. I'm not finished. People want to be. Even I want to be a big Twitch streamer. Not gonna happen.
I tried, and I don't want to be anymore.
But why stop there? Why stop at the basics? Surely the next big thing is to bring in, even if it's a studio app for an Xbox or for a PlayStation, you could then, in theory, customize the screen to look like whatever you want, just like you can with Streamlabs.
Yeah, that's exactly what I want to get at now. I like the idea, and I'm pretty sure. So the thing is, Streamlabs was recently, I think by the end of 2019, bought by Logitech for a whopping $89 million. So Streamlabs now belongs to Logitech. There are really only two streaming services like that. One is Streamlabs, as you mentioned. The other is called Stream Elements. They have, I would estimate, 95% market share among streamers. And I wouldn't be surprised if both Sony and Microsoft have reached out to both Streamlabs or Logitech and Stream Elements to develop some kind of app for the respective console, I would not be surprised at all.
So that to me is the next big thing, because why wouldn't you? Especially with, as you say, Xbox market with Mixer, because they're owned by the same people.
Yeah,
it would be silly not to. It would be really silly not to expand into that market. So I'm going to wait until February to see what the announcements are made, and if that announcement is made, and if it is made, Austin, I want kudos. If it's not made, you can call me wrong, which I always am. So what's the difference?
I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, I would argue that I think what it is going to be interesting to see is how, because Microsoft and Xbox are really like at a crossroads with their decisions. Are they still going to split it into, oh yeah, we support YouTube and we support Twitch and we do obviously support Mixer, and maybe they support Facebook gaming as well, which is also one of the top four, one of the big four platforms for streaming. Or whether they go, you know what, we want Mixer to succeed, because Mixer right now is only number 4. It's behind Facebook gaming in terms of streaming, which is insane to think about considering they have Ninja and Shroud on their platform. But that's where they are, and they don't seem to grow much either. So are they going to try to make or break to go, we want Mixer to happen, we want this to be a thing, we want it to grow, so only compatibility with Mixer, everything else is going to be maybe basic or not at all? Or are they going to go, all right, you can stream to YouTube, you can stream to Twitch, you can stream maybe to Facebook gaming, you can stream to Mixer, we give you all that. And I think that's a big choice for Microsoft to make, whether they go all in on Mixer on Xbox, or whether they go, all right, you can stream to wherever you want, basically.
I think it would be silly not to implement some sort of system like that. So I can't wait for that announcement. I'm sure it will be an announcement. But we're quickly heading towards our sort of 90-minute limit, if you like. If you can hashtag that, if you like, hashtag 90-minute limit. Let's move on then to one of the I want to say I have a turn at this.
Well, not yet.
Okay, what's the other thing?
We have a very quick thing.
All right, okay.
And that is the Rocket League Esports Shop Edition. So Rocket League today has announced, or Psyonix, the developers of Rocket League, have announced that for RLCS Season 9, the Esports Shop has some new participating teams. Obviously, some old ones dropping out who are no longer in RLCS, but more importantly, some new teams finally in the Esports Shop come February 4th. And the teams that stay are, we're going to go through these very quickly. Cloud9, G2, Ghost Gaming, NRG, Renault Vitality, Space Station Gaming, Rogue, TSM, Dignitas, and Mouse. I think Mousesports is a returning team. They were in there for RLCS Season 7, then they were relegated, now they're back again. However, the new teams, and this is where it gets interesting maybe for some racing fans as well, E-United, Pittsburgh Knights, Team Reciprocity, and Veloce Esports. And the one thing I am going to say is I'm definitely going to get the Veloce banner, probably a Veloce decal, and maybe even some wheels. But yeah, that's just me. But yeah, those will be available February 4th. And all the new organizations, E-United, Pittsburgh Knights, Team Reciprocity, and Veloce have, I think all 4 of them have posted on their Twitter a picture of their decal and their new wheels. I have seen it for Reciprocity and Veloce, and they look pretty good. I can't lie, they look pretty good. So yeah, that's going to be available. And usually the way this goes with the pricing is that you can get a banner for 100 tokens, which is about €1, $1, whatever, one monetary unit in your country, basically. I think in the UK is also a pound, which, well, bad luck. That's a bit more than €1 or $1. But then the decals go from, I think, also 100 tokens, so €1, $1, up to 300 or so. And then the wheels are usually the most expensive thing. And if you don't want to, don't bother. But the other stuff is usually rather cheap. So I'm definitely going to get some of it for Veloce. I'm currently repping Rogue for the most part. But yeah, I might do a little two-sided, because you have two different cars, a blue and an orange. And so I might do a two-sided design, with one side with Rogue, one side with Veloce. We'll see. But that's just as a quick little news update on what is happening in the world of Rocket League, since they announced that literally today.
Nice.
Now it's your time.
Now it's my time. I have to make this a quick review because I'm looking at the time here and we're running out of it. But I've been playing recently Tabletop Racing World Tour, and if I had to describe it, it would sort of be a mix of Micro Machines and Mario Kart. Now there are plenty of quote unquote Mario Kart clones, but this is a pretty decent one. It's a pretty decent attempt. You can see, there's a good amount of colors, a good amount of cars to select based on real life cars, which is quite a nice touch. Given really silly names to avoid copyright, as it should be in an arcade game, as it really should be. And it gets most things right. The weapons are good enough, but it feels like there's something missing. This is a game that really missed out on multiplayer. It really did. It has it, and I went into a server multiple times over the last couple of days, and there's about one, maybe if you're lucky, 2 lobbies where there's a maximum of 8 drivers, but they're not full, those lobbies. I think, if it got a revitalization again, the multiplayer on that would be a really, really good addition, because it's a solid game. It handles great. You get to upgrade the car as you go through the career, but if you upgrade your car very early on with a very generous helping of money you get for each race you finish, there's going to be a point where you just sail off into the distance. In terms of rubber banding, there isn't, as much as I played it, there isn't a lot. It's based on cars around you, so you get the 3 classes, lovely stuff, and you have to progress through them. In all honesty, the game, it doesn't feel too easy, because anything could go wrong at the vital moment, but it does feel too short. It really does. Whereas in Mario Kart, you have, you do everything in 50cc. Cool. Now you've got to do everything in 100cc. All right, cool. 150cc. Now do it in 150cc mirrored. Now you'll get to unlock 300cc or something silly like that.
200, I think, wasn't it?
But the point is, it's replayable. You go back to these tracks, but you're slightly quicker, and the AI are slightly tougher as well. I remember on Mario Kart Wii as well, they had the mixture of cars and bikes. So 100cc would be bikes exclusive. Then 150cc would be cars and bikes, with 50cc being cars only. That was a really nice touch. That was such a nice touch. But here, you get a certain amount of variability between races. So you'll have like a time trial. You'll have hot lap, where you've got 90 seconds to set the quickest lap possible. Just keep going round with boost and everything. You've got elimination races. You've actually got no items races as well. So it's purely based on the speed and control of your car. But that variety doesn't quite let it be the game that it should be. It's a decent game if you want 5 minutes of fun. The other thing as well is it's not split screen multiplayer. A game like that should have split screen multiplayer. Even if it's 2 people, it should have split screen multiplayer, and it doesn't. And that's also a major downside. What could be a great party game and a great game that's played online, it just missed the mark, because people will play it once and that's about it. So it's a real shame to see it go. But if I had to give it an out of 10 rating, I'd probably give it. It's very. See, the thing is, it's got that load of potential. It just never found it. It never struck a chord with everybody to keep playing it. Much to like everyone will buy a new Mario Kart, and that's the thing it'll always be compared to. Mario Kart. If it's nowhere near as good as that, it's not going to be, favoured in a good light. But I'm going to give it 6.5. It's a good game if you've got about 10 minutes to spare, but it can become very repetitive very quickly and a huge missed opportunity for multiplayer. There you have it.
All right. And speaking of Mario Kart, if someone from Codemasters is listening, bring us F1 Race Stars 2.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, dear.
F1 Race Stars was great. And I will die on that hill.
Oh.
But yeah, with the 90-minute mark looming over us, and in 10 seconds we hit it, we will go slightly over it. But yeah, it's time for a final segment, the personal moment of the week. And I'm gonna start because mine isn't as big, nearly as big as Kieran's. Basically, there wasn't really one for me because I'm still waiting. I talked about it 2 weeks ago with the job I applied for, and I'm still waiting on whether I got it or not. And it's just I'm getting really, really nervous and really anxious, and I'm expecting to hear back this week. And if they do, and if they do take me, or if they don't take me, either way, you're going to hear about it on Twitter. But yeah, I'm still waiting, and I hope that it's positive because I really want to work for them. But yeah, that's my moment of the week. It's hopefully about to happen within the next 3 days.
Fingers crossed, then, Austin. Fingers.
Thank you. What's yours?
Well, by the way, if you want to follow the Artificial Intelligence Championship that just had its fourth round at Mexico, quite I wouldn't say a farce of a race, but it did throw up as very much as a prize winner. Go over to my Twitch channel, Kieran MCG. Other than that, the big news that I have is that I will be part of the commentary team for the upcoming Buckmore 24-hour. Now, if you remember, last year I got a 90-minute stint in the commentary box, basically to cover breaks. This time, though, I'm going to be a big part of it on the Saturday. So if you're on there, make sure you go over to the Alpha Live website, Alpha Live YouTube. That's where it will be broadcast on the 4th and the 5th of April. I'll be joining alongside Chaz Draycott and Anthony Jordan, who were part of the commentary team last time out as well. So it's like getting the old band back together, only this time I'll be there for a slight bit longer, which is great news for me.
Yeah, and I do remember seeing, one of the drivers of the, what was it, 90 minutes you said?
Yes.
Yeah, of the 90-minute race. He's quite a popular, famous almost YouTuber, at least in sim racing circles.
Yeah, it doesn't ring a bell. No.
I think he tends to cosplay as Alex Albon.
Ah, yes. Well, there was I wasn't necessarily commentating over him at the time. No, I wasn't. Well, the one I was commentating over, the main one, the one I remember, was good old Jimmy Broadbent, who spun at the first hairpin twice in the space of about 5 minutes. And I said the second time around, I really hope that's a replay on Jimmy's behalf.
Oh God! Did he hear that? Did he afterwards? Did he?
No, because I had to work. I had to work as part of the people working at the endurance. So I was up in race control on the computer from 12 a.m. to 8 a.m. So you can understand at 9 a.m. I just wanted to go home and have a sleep. I did get a photo with Ben Tiamat Marduk though, so that was.
Oh, he was there.
He was there, yes.
Oh, cool.
By the time, because Jimmy had come up to race control, and I'd said to him, "Oh yeah, I was doing the commentary on the thing," and he said, I asked him, "Oh, I can't get a proper conversation with you now, but are you happy to meet up afterwards? I'll be finished up about 8." He said, "Yeah, that sounds really good." I found Ben, had a chat with him, and he's great. He's great to talk to. he is quite a down-to-earth guy, which is really nice to see. And I asked him, "Oh, do you know where Jimmy is, by the way?" He said he was going to have a chat with me and whatnot. And he said, "Do you know what? I think he's sleeping in his car." And I was like, no. So I never got to have that proper chat. But I have met him very briefly. And hopefully he'll be back there again so I can commentate on his Punterinos. Thumbs up.
Look, the thing is, if there's one person who always seems to go to Buckmore Park, it's Super GT, and wouldn't be surprised if you get to commentate over him this time.
Yes, but I'm really looking forward to it. That's I believe it's the 4th and 5th of April, Saturday to Sunday. I'll be, as I say, a big part of the Saturday team, I believe. But I'm really looking forward to it, and that's. I'm bouncing in my chair already, Austin. I'm already looking forward to it.
I can believe that. I'm quite jealous, I have to say. But I do wish you the best of luck and enjoy yourself out there.
Thank you very much, Mr. Austin. And I believe that will now bring us to the end of Refuse to Lose. So thank you very much for listening and watching for the first part. It seemed like those big M8 memes were so long ago.
Wow.
So from then we were listening, so that was good.
They're still in my heart.
But obviously, if you want to go and follow either of us, you can follow Austin on Twitter. I'll switch it up for today at the Badger Man. There you can see.
I had you prepared already. I had the cursor on your slide.
You can follow Austin at the Badger Man, where the second E is a 3. You can also follow me on Twitter. It's at KS McGinley. Again, I get to actually not have to spell my name on a stream, which takes about 30 seconds. It's right there, right in front of you. So if you want to go and follow me, that's the link there, or that's the Twitter handle there. So, Austin, we've come to the end of another podcast, but a really good one. We ranted, we raved, you swore a bit, but we made it.
Come on. No, I tend to do that. I can always push that to me, doing this in my second language here. I don't curse as much in German. Funny enough, even though German is a great language for cursing, but I do it more in English. But yeah, that was a lot of fun, and we're gonna be back next time in 2 weeks. That will be February 11th. We will definitely talk about the upcoming Daytona 500 that will be on February 16th. So we're gonna preview that a little bit. Other than that, we don't know what is gonna happen within the next 2 weeks. There could be all hell breaking loose. We know there is a GT Sport update coming tomorrow. So maybe the penalties will get fixed finally. We talked about that last time. Maybe the penalties will get fixed. I'm not sure. It could get worse from here. That's the issue.
Yeah, it'll probably get worse. I'm banking on getting worse.
But I think we will talk about that whichever way it goes. Even if they change nothing, I think we're going to talk about it. But yeah, other than that, we'll see what happens in the world of racing and sim racing. And Kieran, take us out. You're better at this than I am.
Well, we always end the podcast with, of course, the words of the late, great Dale Earnhardt. The winner ain't the one with the fastest car. It's the one who refuses to lose. Thank you very much for listening. Hopefully, we will see you in a fortnight's time for the next episode. Until then, I've been Kieran McGinley.
And I'm Austin Smith.
Take care of yourselves, and we will see you next time.